Last year I reviewed the original Clicks keyboard for the iPhone, and while I had some things going for it, it just had too many pain points for me to give it a solid recommendation. And if you want to check out that review, I will leave links to it at the end of this video and down in the description.
Good to know.
But the new ClicksForRazr looks to fix some of those issues and bring a more true BlackBerry-esque experience to the modern smartphone. And in a lot of ways, it succeeds.
It's better now. It really is.
Like the original Clicks for iPhone keyboard, using it is just kind of fun. And as someone who loved using physical phone keyboards back in the day, the more tactile feel of a physical keyboard is something I definitely appreciate. And that experience has been at least slightly improved on the newer version of ClicksForRazr, which thankfully has SKUs for all 2024 and 2025 Razr models.
Nice.
The buttons on the ClicksForRazr keyboard have the same nice clicky feel as the original, but the keys are now angled instead of flat, and I do think this makes typing a little easier. But what really makes typing on ClicksForRazr an improved experience over previous models is the form factor of the Razr itself. Putting the Clicks keyboard on my iPhone 15 Pro Max made the phone comically large and almost completely unpocketable. But perhaps an even bigger issue was it made the phone feel very top-heavy, and it always felt like it wanted to flip out of my hands. But the ClicksForRazr keyboard fixes all that because you can use it when the Razr is folded shut. In fact, the experience of using Clicks this way feels so much better to me. It feels like this is how the keyboard was meant to be used all along. You can of course also use it when the phone is open, but if you were like me, you probably won't want to. Another nice improvement that has come to all variations of the Clicks keyboard since my original review is the app. It's available on both the Google Play and Apple App Store, and while the keyboard will work without it, I feel like it definitely has enough utility to make it install-worthy. After providing a brief tutorial, which isn't formatted for the outer screen by the way, which is a bit ironic, you are given access to various settings, including being able to adjust the brightness value of the keyboard backlight and timeout duration. You can also customize the behavior of certain keys, adjust caps lock behaviors, and more. Another new addition is the on-screen menu, which gives you quick access to your phone's virtual keyboard when needed, keyboard settings, emojis, Google Translate, and clipboard. You can also choose to switch the menu to a horizontal toolbar, which I highly recommend because doing so gives you a word selection strip and easy access to the voice-to-text microphone. I mean seriously, the horizontal bar is so much more useful that I have no idea why the Click software engineers didn't make it the default setting.
Think, McFly! Think!
Finally, there are keyboard shortcuts for all of the menu items, and they can be found here as well. And beyond the menu, there are other shortcuts as well. A lot of them. Seriously, have a look. And while that is pretty cool, there's no way to customize those shortcuts, so what you see is what you get. And finally, the Razr case has its own built-in magnetic rings, making it MagSafe friendly, although the case is not compatible with MagSafe chargers. More on that later.
It's a teaser.
And of course, all of the old perks of the original Clicks keyboard are still present. Installation is super easy and the fit is nice and snug. The keyboard itself is nice and responsive. It frees up screen real estate when typing since you usually won't need to use the virtual keyboard. It doesn't cause any noticeable battery drain. The USB-C port provides convenient wired charging. And while I have seen some reviews of people having issues with the keyboard randomly disconnecting from their phones, I have had no such issues and connectivity for me has been perfect. Finally, the Clicks keyboard comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And they claim if the Clicks keyboard doesn't click with you, you can just send it back.
Which is nice.
So this time around, there's actually a lot to like about the Clicks keyboard. However, no product is perfect, and the ClicksForRazr keyboard is no exception. And let's start the imperfection parade with something I alluded to earlier: no MagSafe charging. In fact, when using the Clicks keyboard, you won't be able to take advantage of any type of wireless charging. And that is because the phone itself disables wireless charging when the USB-C port is in use. I'm guessing Motorola does this as an overheating precaution, and while it's certainly not the fault of the Clicks engineers and creators, it's still a noteworthy drawback. And while we are on the subject of USB-C port limitations, the case does not seem to be compatible with Android Auto. So anytime I wanted to use Android Auto, I had to take the keyboard off of the phone, which was kind of a pain. The next thing I think that needs to be mentioned is putting the Clicks keyboard on the Razr turns what is normally a very sleek and visually pleasing phone into an absolute brick. However, this isn't all bad since it also makes the phone more grippy and gives it a nice bit of protection. Earlier I mentioned both the ease of installing the case on the phone and its good fit. And while both of these things are true, Clicks quality control isn't quite perfect, as can be seen here with the case not being entirely flat. Finally, there are just some general limitations to using a physical keyboard in 2025, and I feel like these things will be different for different people. In my case, I noticed there doesn't appear to be any way to set up double tapping the spacebar to drop a period, and there is obviously no swiping on the spacebar autocomplete. And while these things are certainly drawbacks, I don't consider them deal breakers.
That's fair.
Finally, let's talk price. You can pick up the clicksforrazr keyboard on Click's website right now with all models setting you back $139 USD. And whether or not you think the Click's keyboard is worth that cost will obviously depend on your level of desire for using a physical keyboard and willingness to deal with the trade-offs. For me personally, I've really enjoyed using Clicks this time around, mostly due to the form factor of the Razr and some additional features provided by the app. But as a tech reviewer who is always trying out new phones, I will be giving up the Razr at the conclusion of this review. But if I were to keep using the Razr, I think this time around the Click's keyboard would also be sticking around.
It is better.
Well, that's all the information I have for one day, but if you wind up picking up the clicksforrazr keyboard, please feel free to share your experiences down in the comments. That way we can all continue to learn from each other and make more informed buying decisions. As always, I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching, and until next time, this is Rando Tech Info, signing out.